Hello students, welcome to the lecture on wage and salary administration, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the release of compensation information, define the purposes of wage and salary administration program, understand the authorized deductions used, the Payment of Wages Act 1936. Let's start with the introduction. Wage and salary administration is a pivotal function of human resource management. Its importance is evident from the fact that a majority of union management problems and disputes relate to the question of wage payment. According to the hierarchy of needs proposed by Abraham Maslow, money, food, and shelter are the first needs of a person. It is therefore of utmost importance to develop a sound wage and salary scheme to attract capable employees, motivate them toward better performance and retain them. Fair and equitable compensation for each hospital employee should be the objective of the wage and salary administration program. Let us now discuss release of compensation information. Employees may be given information about the job levels and grades and about the hiring pay ranges and the full ranges of any classification levels through. For example, an employee may wish to know the full range, minimum to maximum for the J2 level. This employee may obtain such information from his or her department head or from human resources. Information about classification, levels, ranges or grades for all position titles through level E8 is available from human resources. Specific rate being paid to an employee will remain confidential. The complete wage structure will not be posted or duplicated for dual distribution either inside. Copies of the wage structure are provided to managers, supervisors each year when they are updated. System of wage and salary payment. Wages, if dependent generally on the rates of wages, which may be an hourly rate or time rate, are based on a piece rate that is dependent on workers' output. The time and piece output rate wage plans are the two basic systems. All other plans are simply variation of these two. In this wage system, an employee is paid a defined amount of money for a specific period of work. Let us now discuss the purposes of a wage and salary administration program. The Wage and Salary Administration Program has a variety of purposes. These are as follows: to define the duties and responsibilities involved in each position in the hospital and determining the qualities and training requirements of the employee occupying the position. To compare position according to mental and physical requirement, skill, responsibility and working condition. To establish common titles for jobs which have similar duties and responsibilities to facilitate dependable salary comparison. To establish within the hospital wage levels comparable to that prevailing in the community for similar work. To establish a periodic salary review system so that adjustment may be effected whenever indicated. Meaning of wage and salary administration. To the hospital. To the hospital, wage and salary administration means fair and equitable wages and salaries for all employees, a basic for establishing, developing and maintaining good employee relation, development and maintenance of good employee morale, a guide for administrative action concerning wages and salaries, a basic for facilitating control over expenditure on wages and salaries. To the employees. To the employees, it means a basic for understanding the hospital's policies concerning wage levels, structures and ranges, a means for clarifying opportunities for development and channels for promotion. Greater job satisfaction and feeling of security, helping the individual attain the occupational objectives. To the patient. To the patient, it means better service to patient and their families by hospital employees who enjoy their job and are happy with their work. Lower hospitalization costs resulting from a higher degree of employee efficiency. Wages versus salaries. Payment made to compensate labor for the work done is generally termed as wages. Money paid periodically to person whose output cannot easily be measured, such as clerical staff, supervisory and managerial staff, is termed as salaries. Salaries are generally paid on monthly basis. However, in practice, these two words are used interchangeably for employees in the lower strata.
Students often ask me, what's the difference between salary and wages? Well, both words refer to a person's pay or earnings. The difference between the two lies in how a person is paid. Some people have fixed work contracts and are paid a fixed amount each year. however many hours they work. We call this kind of pay salary. Imagine you have a fixed contract and are expected to work a minimum number of hours every week. Your contracted salary will be paid to you each month at 1/12 of the total amount agreed each year. It doesn't matter how many hours you work beyond your contracted hours, you'll still be paid the same annual salary. Or you might be paid by the hour. You have an agreed hourly rate of pay. You may or may not have a fixed contract obliging you to work a minimum number of hours a week. If you work more hours than agreed, you'll be paid more money for the extra hours that you work. Wages are always paid to people who do casual work or are on short-term contracts. Whether you're paid a wage or receive a salary, you'll get a pay slip at the end of the month or each week if you're paid weekly. The pay slip gives details of your gross pay, the total amount you earned, and your net pay after deductions. Deductions include income tax and social security contributions. Depending on your tax bracket, which depends on the level of your earnings, your net pay can be substantially less than your gross.
What determines wages and salaries? Demands and supply. If enough candidates are available, they will offer themselves for work at low salaries. However, if they are in short supply, they will work only if they are paid well. Capacity to bargain. Candidates are usually not in a position to bargain, but they acquire some powers through their unions. Government regulation. Since employees do not have the bargaining power to ask for fair wages, the government intervenes and fixes minimum wages. Hospitals' ability to pay. The ability of the hospital to pay the rates prevalent in comparable hospital is an important consideration. If a hospital pays less, it will find it difficult to attract and hold employees. If a hospital can pay more, it can attract, retain and motivate its employees. Cost of living index. In many industries, wages are linked to the cost of living index, which ensures fair wages to the employees. As prices of commodities go up, wages to go up, and when the index goes down as a result of fall in prices, wages also come down, but it is not so practically because employers can increase wages but cannot decrease obligation of the management. The Payment of Wages Act 1936 has imposed a number of obligations on employers. Basically, the management has 6 obligations regarding the payment of wages and salaries to its employees. The management must fix a time to pay wages and salaries. This period must not be longer than 1 month. The management must pay within 7 days of the wage period if the number of employees is less than 1,000. In the case of number of employees is more than 1,000, wages must be paid within 10 days of the wage period. The payment should be made on the working day and within working hours. The payment should be made in cash or by check if the employee consents to it. The payment should be made in full without any deduction except those authorized by law. The following deduction can be made under the Payment of Wages Act 1936. Fines for absence from duty, for damage or loss of goods, for house accommodation, for amenities and services provided, for the recovery of advances and adjustment of overpayments, for the recovery of loans taken from Provident Fund or from Thrift and Credit Society, for income tax by order of the court, for life insurance scheme. These deductions can be made in the manner and to the extent provided in the Act. No other deductions are permissible. What is involved in the wage and salary program? Any job may be arbitrarily assigned in hospitals to any particular pay scale, but a more satisfactory result may be achieved if a job evaluation program is completed beforehand. Job evaluation is a technique of human resource management concerned with assessing the value of one job in relation to another. Its objective is to determine the relative value of each job in the institution. The process of job evaluation involves the following steps: selection of a representative committee, agreement on the objectives to be attained and jobs to be covered, conduction of job analysis and analysis of the factors necessary for its successful performance, comparison of one job with others, arrangement of jobs in their proper sequence, a salary survey in the industry and the region, assignment of rates to each job. The committee should consist of human resource manager, nursing director and one head of the department of any paramedical department, maintenance engineer of the maintenance and repairing department and one of the medical personnel. They should be liberal, objective and analytical in their approach. In this way, they can not only eliminate to a great extent grievances about salary, but will also give the satisfaction to management and employees that justice have been done. Developing fundamental policies. Policies must establish the average level of wages and salaries within the hospital. These policies are influenced by the following factor. Existing labor legislation. India is a fast developing country. Through the 5-year plans, beginning with the first 5-year plan, the country has aimed at achieving rapid economic and industrial growth, price stability, equitable distribution of income, etc. In the light of these goals, state regulation of wages has become the principal characteristic of Indian wage policy. Our government in the post-independence period has always felt the need for protection of the large segment of the population, the working class. Article 39 of the Constitution of India provides the principle of equal pay for equal work for both men and women as a directive principle of state policy. Similarly, Article 39 of the Constitution provides that the state must endeavour to secure for all workers a living wage and condition of work which ensure a decent standard of life as well as full employment of leisure and social and cultural opportunities. The Act empowers the government to fix minimum rates of wages. It also provides for the review of these wages of intervals not exceeding 5 years. The Payment of Wages Act 1936 was a step in the direction of wage regulation. It tries to ensure regular and prompt payment of wages to prevent exploitation of employees by arbitrary fines and deductions from wages. Wages and salaries are paid for similar work in the community. This is one of the most important factors influencing wages and salaries policy formulation. The hospitals compete with other employers for the available labor force. If the supply and demand for labor is in balance and if a competent staff is to be retained, it is necessary that hospitals pay wages which are comparable to those being paid for work of a similar nature elsewhere in the community. Paying adequate competitive wages can result in actual monetary saving to the hospital. If an efficient worker who is able to do more and better work in less time with less supervision is employed. Payment of salaries that are lower than those prevailing in the area might result in a higher total payroll, since more employees and more supervisors will be acquired due to low efficiency. The quality of work will also be substandard. The hospital's financial position. The hospital financial position is a major factor in the establishment of a wage and salary plan. It obviously imposes a limit on the payroll costs which are the institutions can occur. The following factors should be considered in connection with this problem. One of the major objectives of a wage and salary study is to create the proper relationship among the position in the hospital. A study of duties performed in various positions may enable the hospital to spend the money available for wages and salaries more wisely. If the wage and salaries plan indicates a need for overall increase in wage and salary, this fact should be clearly understood and a basic for budget revision be firmly established. Availability of qualified hospital personnel. This is an important factor. A hospital may sometimes be forced to pay to a person a salary which is above the market value. This type of problem exists mainly in positions filled by highly skilled employees. Building the wage and salary structure. It is very important to build a wage and salary structure for the hospital. There are 3 fundamental steps in the investigation of the work performed in the hospital. The position involved must be listed. The contents of each position must be described, including the duties and responsibilities of the employees assigned to it. Position with essentially the same content must be grouped under the same job title. There are 4 common methods of job evaluation: the ranking method, the classification method, the factor comparison method, and the point system. The method to be used in a given hospital should be determined on the basis of its applicability, its usefulness, and the success with which it can probably be complete. Ranking method. All the jobs in the hospital are arranged in the order of importance accepted by the common agreement among those responsible for the evaluation system on the basis of job titles and job content. Classification method. This method involves the establishment of certain grades or classification of employees, each of which is carefully defined by describing the types of duties performed, the degree of responsibilities involved, etc. The jobs are then reviewed and assigned to a grade or classification, for example, clerical, technical, nursing, etc. Tentative grade descriptions of these areas are written. It is assumed that position which can be classified under the general title clerical will have some common elements. A decision as to the applicable job level is reached through discussion of the job evaluation committee. Jobs are then assigned to this level. It may be necessary to rewrite the tentative description several times. The evaluation is accomplished by preparing a set of job grades and classifying individual jobs in relation to how well they match the grade definitions. There are 3 steps in this method. Job grades are established. Each grade is carefully defined. Individual jobs are classified in relation to the grade description. Point systems. The point systems have the widest application. They have been used for both clerical and manual skills position. A number of factors, each considered to be pertinent to success on the jobs, are selected for study. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Wages also refer to the hourly rate paid to such groups as production and maintenance. Salary normally refers to the periodical rates paid to clerical. So, money paid periodically to person whose output cannot be measured is generally referred as salary. The specific rate being paid to an employee will remain confidential. The complete wage structure will not be posted or duplicated for general distribution either inside. The committee should consist of human resource manager, nursing director and one head of the department of any paramedical department, maintenance engineer of the maintenance and repairing department and one of the medical personnel. Regulation established by the unions through negotiation with the management affect the wage and salary bill of the hospital. Subjects such as leave, pay scales, allowances, fringe, benefits, working condition, overtime rate, etc. are frequently included in the agreements with the unions and professional association. A job evaluation system does not determine the wage rate for any given position, but provides logical and uniform basis for decision concerning the relative level of wages and salaries between jobs in the hospital.